Today, I want to speak directly to financial advisors who are currently part of a brokerage where recruiting is a primary business model. And if you're watching this quietly and you've ever had even the smallest doubt about the environment you're in, this message might be for you, because I've been exactly where you are. For months, I sat with the idea of leaving my previous brokerage, not because I didn't see the problems, but because I felt loyal to the people who brought me into the business. And these were people who told me they cared about my success. They mentored me, they supported me. And when you're in that kind of environment, you start to feel like you owe them something. So even when you start questioning the model, you convince yourself to stay. That's exactly what I did. Until one day, someone asked me a very simple question. They said, "Are those people going to pay your bills?" And that question hit me harder than anything else, because the honest answer was no. They weren't responsible for my future. They weren't responsible for my income. And they certainly weren't responsible for the clients who were trusting me with their financial lives. That moment forced me to take a step back and look at the bigger picture. In a lot of recruiting-driven brokerages, we're taught something very specific, okay? We're taught that having a job means you're working for somebody else. It's a form of being trapped or even being enslaved. You hear that message a lot, but here's the irony. If your income depends on people underneath you producing, how different is that really from a job? In many ways, it's the exact same structure. The only difference is the language we use to describe it. And many advisors are being led to believe they own their own business. But after more than 27 years in this industry, I can tell you honestly, in many of these structures, you don't actually own your business. You're operating inside someone else's hierarchy and someone else's definition of success. And another thing I started to notice was the training, or more accurately, what the training was focused on. Instead of learning how to become a stronger financial advisor, instead of learning deeper financial strategies, instead of learning how to truly guide clients, the training kept coming back to recruiting over and over again. And that creates a real problem, because many of the people entering this industry genuinely want to help families. They want to learn how to protect income, how to help people retire, how to build real financial plans, how to help people get out of debt. But if the training constantly circles back to recruiting, they never truly develop those skills. I saw this happen with people I personally brought into the industry. Good people, people who wanted to make a difference. And many of them ended up leaving before they even got licensed, not because they didn't care, but because they weren't being taught how to actually do the work. And sometimes you'll see leaders in these organizations traveling all over the world, recognition trips, leadership events, conferences, and it looks impressive. But if we're being honest about how that works, those trips are possibly because large teams underneath them are producing, which again raises a very honest question. How different is that from the job model that they criticize? So if you're an advisor watching this and you've had moments where something in your gut didn't feel quite right, listen to that instinct. It doesn't mean you're disloyal. It doesn't mean you're ungrateful. It just simply means you're thinking critically about the career you chose. I've spent more than 27 years in this industry, and what matters to me today is helping advisors truly become capable professionals. Advisors who know how to help families plan, protect, invest, and prepare for retirement, because that's what this industry is supposed to be about, helping people, not just building recruiting structures. So if you entered this profession because you genuinely wanted to help people, but you still feel like you haven't been shown how to actually do that, it might be time to step back and ask yourself whether you're in the right environment. And if you want to learn how to build a real advisory practice, one that focuses on clients first, I'm always open to having that conversation, because this industry doesn't need more recruiters. It needs more real financial advisors.